When people talk about HBO's golden era of prestige television, two shows almost always dominate the conversation: The Sopranos and The Wire. Both are hailed as some of the greatest series in TV history, celebrated for their layered storytelling, social commentary, and memorable characters. Yet nestled quietly in the shadow of those titans is another series born from the same creative DNA, Treme. Running for 4 seasons between 2010 and 2013, Treme was a different kind of HBO drama. Quieter, deeply human, and rooted in one of America's most painful cultural wounds, the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. The story of Treme. Set in New Orleans after the devastation of Katrina, Treme followed a diverse group of locals attempting to rebuild their lives and community in the wake of tragedy. Musicians, restaurant owners, bartenders, and displaced families made up its ensemble, with characters like trombonist Antoine Batiste, Wendell Pierce, DJ Davis McAlery, Steve Zahn, and tavern owner LaDonna Batiste Williams, Condi Alexander, embodying the struggle and resilience of a city in recovery. Real New Orleans figures and musicians frequently appeared alongside actors, blurring the line between fiction and reality. Unlike many dramas that drive forward with tightly wound plots, Treme was more of a character study. Its power came from showing the ordinary rhythms of survival, whether through music, food, or the simple act of staying put when everything around you had been washed away. In this sense, it mirrored real life in New Orleans, messy, meandering, but always rich with culture. A shared lineage with The Wire. It's no accident that Treme feels like The Wire's successor. Both were created by David Simon and Eric Overmyer, with Treme arriving just 2 years after The Wire concluded. Like its predecessor, Treme treated its setting as more than just a backdrop. Baltimore in The Wire was a character in itself, just as New Orleans is in Treme. Where The Wire dissected institutions, police, politics, schools, the media, Treme examined how broken systems compounded human suffering in New Orleans post-Katrina. Both series shared a gritty realism, an ensemble-driven structure, and a refusal to flatten characters into archetypes. But there was also a key distinction. While The Wire often felt like an autopsy of America's failings, Treme leaned into resilience and the healing power of culture. Music, food, and hope. One of Treme's defining traits was its emphasis on music. Jazz, brass bands, and second-line parades weren't just background details. They were the heartbeat of the show. Just as The Wire used the drug trade as the thread tying its characters together, Treme used music as the lifeblood of its narrative. But unlike drugs, which brought destruction in The Wire, music in Treme symbolized renewal, unity, and survival. Food played a similar role, showcasing the cuisine of New Orleans as a cultural cornerstone and an expression of identity. These details gave Treme a vibrancy few other dramas achieved, grounding it in a sense of place and history that was as rich as it was painful. Why Treme was overlooked. Despite its critical acclaim, the series holds a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Treme never reached the same cultural saturation as The Wire. Part of that was timing. Airing just 5 years after Katrina, it may have hit too close to home for many viewers. Another factor was its narrative style. Without the high-stakes tension of crime, gangs, or law enforcement, Treme often felt more meditative than explosive. Yet those qualities are precisely what made it powerful. In a landscape of prestige dramas obsessed with crime bosses, corrupt politicians, and antiheroes, Treme focused on something rarer: the ordinary resilience of everyday people. The legacy of Treme. Now, nearly 2 decades after Hurricane Katrina, Treme feels more vital than ever. It captured not just a moment of devastation, but the enduring soul of New Orleans, its music, its food, its stubborn spirit. While The Wire remains the more talked-about series, Treme deserves to be remembered as a worthy successor, one that transformed trauma into a narrative of resilience. For viewers who revere The Wire and crave more of David Simon's ability to blend realism with cultural critique, Treme remains an overlooked gem, one that proves survival, joy, and community can be just as powerful as stories of systemic collapse.